Good evening, overnight version. Art Bell up and let's rock and roll through Dominion.
Anything goes. Open lines, on-screen open lines, whatever you got, I'm ready for you. It would be a lot of fun, and the caller is right. We need a special line for time travelers. There's just so many lines, and they're all locked up. And so what can I say, folks? I made a request during the break for a special line, and we do have a couple, frankly, but we can't give them out because they'd be abused, and we need them for, guests, things like that. So those numbers we can't give out, but we can probably request and get another line, and I hereby make that request. So far, SiriusXM has virtually done everything I've asked for. Now I'm asking for a special line so that in the future, if we want time travelers only, if we want overseas callers only, we'll get it. And we can do that by having a special line for nothing else but that. So, tonight's show proves that that we need that. And I think that should be enough. What do you think? Here we go. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, Art.
Hello? Yes, hey.
Hey, Roswell's, man.
Thank you.
Yes, actually, I just went through Roswell about an hour and a half ago. I'm a truck driver.
Oh,
I just want to make the point that all those dead cattle up in South Dakota, they had a
yes, sir.
freak snowstorm up there.
I know. They had bad weather.
Yeah.
I know, but you would think, though, wouldn't you think that, cattle are used to weathering storms, right?
Well, you get that cold and that much snow, they can't move around. They can't move around. They can't get any blood flow, and they can't get no blood flow, and they can't stay warm. They all that together, but they do freeze. I mean, that happened out in the West a lot back in the olden days. The reason I called tonight, I'm one of the lucky people. I have seen a Bigfoot and Sasquatch.
Where?
I was in New Mexico, going between Santa Rosa and Las Vegas. I was headed up the hill, and I come up over this hill. I'm a truck driver. I come up over this hill, and I've got real good bright lights on my truck. But I saw that there's a white house on one side and a white barn on the other side, and both of them have these outdoor lights. And I saw a shadow coming across the house there. So I thought, man, this headed right for the road, So the hair on the back of my head standing up right now. It still freaks me out. But I saw the shadow coming across this house, and it got my attention because it was headed for the road. And sure enough, that dude walked right across the road right in front of me. He's probably 100 yards in front of me when he walked across.
All right, describe the dude.
Well, he's a big, tall guy. I don't know how tall, about 8 foot, I guess. And there wasn't really a whole lot I could see. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And
was the dude covered with hair?
Yeah, it was real dark hair. You couldn't really see a lot. The light didn't penetrate enough to see anything. I mean, you could see the guy walking across the road. But I mean, because the light didn't reflect on it,
Okay, we're beginning to lose. I'm sorry, we're beginning to lose you. So you got to look enough to know about 8 feet tall and hairy. I guess he's cellular phones. There is a movement on. I would like to say this to increase bandwidth, and let me explain to you what that means. The first cell phone company that increases bandwidth and gets back to the kind of commercials where you can hear a pin drop, and it really sounds good again, is going to get my money. And I really mean that. The first cell phone company to come out with increased bandwidth, in other words, a good sounding phone, kind of like the old days, is going to get my money. And it's coming. I am told that there are some of the biggest cell phone companies that are now beginning to work on that very concept. You love to see those pin drop commercials again. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi. This is John, but they call me Earthquake.
Okay, Earthquake. I like that name.
Well, I got it because I'm a pilot, and when I was going to flight school, my instructor always told everyone that he could always tell when I was doing my takeoffs and landings, so his coffee mug would shake.
I don't know if that's good, but okay.
Well, but anyway, I'm calling because this guy Dallas, I remember that show very well, and my horse poop meter like broke that night. It was it was like extremely unbelievable. You don't remember? You were like really like I can't believe this guy is actually this stuff is coming out of his pie hole.
Well, maybe it was not that memorable for me.
Well, it was probably the you had the most, I guess, patience that I've ever heard you have with anybody. This guy he was talking about, using this fan, jetpack to go, down into this, this hollow earth thing, and he's like, he was legally blind.
I believe it. Listen, wasn't it at the North Pole?
Yeah, and he was legally blind, and he said, "Oh, but I'll be able to see just fine when I get down in the center of the earth." And I'm like, "God, geez, Louise!" But you don't remember that at all.
I do. I remembered it. It was at the North Pole. I didn't remember the helicopter part.
Well, it was like, they just actually flew the prototype about 6 months ago. It's actually a ducted fan jetpack. They call it a jetpack because it's jets of air. And they just flew it with a dummy, by the way. A real dummy, not like a...
Well, all right. I raise, sir, the same objection, and that is, fine. If there's a hole at the North Pole down into the center of the Earth, great. But, whether it's a jetpack or a helicopter, you're going to run out of air or fuel before you get anywhere near the center of the Earth.
And the guy was blind.
Well, those added to...
I mean, did he go to the Helen Keller School of Flying or something?
I don't know.
Oh, wait.
I don't know. I mean, we're a program that considers and listens to anything.
Yeah, but boy, that guy's nose must have been growing. So I tell you, it was just like unbelievable. I was just rolling my eyes actually rolled in the back of my head that night. But Art, one thing I want to ask you about.
Yes.
I'm a pilot and I'm building an airplane. And what I plan to do is I plan to break the absolute world record for doing outside loops. Now, my only problem is I had been sick for the last 7 years. I've had like MRSA 7 times. I've had like 6 or 7 back operations. I became diabetic. I had to sell the airplane I had then, but I became non-diabetic. I lost weight and I got off the medications I was taking. And my problem is I need like, I don't know, 25 grand or so to get this sucker finished. And it's like, I have no idea how I'm going to come up with this money, especially now with, the government going broke. Geez, I was even hoping to maybe, talk to somebody about getting a grant or something. But do you have any idea how one could get an airplane finished in this world right now?
No.
I mean, I have the engine. I actually helped design it. The plane is going to be stressed for 9 G's positive, 6 G's negative. And, I think I could do it. The woman who has the record, she did 206 outside loops, but she had a husband who was a multi-millionaire.
Listen to me. If a guy with horns, kind of glowing red, came to you and said, "Look, son, I know you need 25 big ones to build this plane. All I need is your signature down here at the bottom. It's this little soul thing, and you sign this and you get the money."
I'm crazy. I'm not stupid. But
no deal, huh?
But no. I will do a lot of things, but I won't sell mine or anyone else's soul. In fact, I'm the guy that if the guy
that's what I call serious faith, my friend. Serious faith.
Well, I think sometimes good things happen, but like I'm the kind of person that there was a movie out where some guy will come to a couple with this box with a button on it, and if you push the button, you became a millionaire. But then someone else in the world died.
That's right.
I would not. I would
do that.
Not on a hot bet. No, absolutely not. But then again, nice guys don't get the airplane finished.
That's right. Look, a lot of people would say, I really don't believe in all of that anyway. Charles, on here, go. How many of you would do that? $25,000. It's a guy with horns, and he's glowing a little reddish color. And yeah, his eyes are kind of glowing red. But he's got 25 grand in cold, hard cash. All you gotta do is signature on that line. You don't believe no. Sign here. Dark Matter, you're on the air.
Art Bell. This is
Yes.
Bill. One of your
Hey,
friendly truck drivers calling you in. Welcome back, buddy. Haven't heard you for a long time.
thank you. It's
Boy,
pretty
wow.
cool as a truck driver that you can drive from one end of the country to the other and never lose the signal, huh?
I love that satellite thing. That is the best thing since sliced bread. I gotta say.
It is.
I just heard about you back last night. I had a buddy call me. Says, "Have you ever heard of this guy?" And I go, "Oh my God, no way!" So I listened to you last night. Welcome back, man. This is awesome to have you back.
Well, thank you. We're trying to abbreviate that. When people call, they say Roswell's. What that means is love you, nice that you're back, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, many Roswells. Hey, on that cow thing going on up there in South Dakota, that was because of that big storm. We had a bunch of our drivers getting through there. And
Any idea how many cows were lost?
It's in the thousands. And the problem of it is why that guy's stacking them up against the fence is in protest to the federal government being closed down right now. He can't get any aid to help clean it up.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, so it's going to be a rotten pile here pretty soon.
A very stinky pile. Yeah.
Yeah, at that. But, yeah, still out here, still driving. Glad to hear you back. I've seen another Bigfoot since I've talked to you last. I just heard that other guy talking about it. And they're out here. That's my fourth one I've seen.
Listen, I've heard, maybe you can tell me, I've heard there's going to be a truckers' protest back in D.C., where they're going to just sort of line up and do 55 miles an hour. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, they did that back in, I believe, Reagan days, too. But I think it was some guy just kind of barking up a tree and hoping to have some followers. There might be a few hundred, but I doubt it's going to be a big jam like they participate. I mean, the price of fuel, the price of a truck, I can't afford to take a day off, as it is. So why would you want to do that?
I know that you guys were getting the hell squeezed out of you, and it was just getting rougher and rougher and rougher. So you're saying you have to be in that truck working it virtually every day?
Right. But the new hours of regulations they just passed this last year is outrageous. I mean, they're forcing now, we're only allowed to work 14 hours in a day. We're only allowed to drive 11. And anywhere in a consistent 8-hour period, I have to take a 30-minute break. I'm forced to do that. And a 34-hour out would give me a 70-hour clock again because we work as a 70 and 8-hour clock with the company I work for. And I'm only allowed to do one of those every 168 hours, which is every 7 days.
I've got a question. In the old days, people used to bend regulations. Truckers, would make up one log and make up another log and stuff like that. Is that still going on?
It is, but in today's technology, those were called comic books, We're running on electronic log books, and they're really neat because most of the law enforcement, when they ask you for your logbook, you tell them what's in there on the dashboard of my truck. We're running an electronic onboard computer, and they don't want to have nothing to do with it. They just look at it, that's interesting. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, of course. This is a cool deal for truckers. Because, you're sailing through the night, you're working a lot of hours, and you can only listen to music so long before, and it's good for a while, actually, but then after a while, to stay awake, you really need something like this. Talk radio. And it will keep you awake. You're on the air on Dark Matter. Hi.
Roswell.
Oh, yes, thank you. Turn, please.
It's off. I have Stuart. John Titer.
Sorry.
John Titer?
Yes.
Do you think he was real or maybe a Phil Hendrickson?
Oh, you're talking about Peter the Time Traveler.
Yes, him.
Peter, I didn't get that for a second, Peter.
Sorry.
That's all right. I don't know. I think he is probably the strongest case that we've had yet, in terms of one who's been talking to us about this. I think he's strongest.
No, his thing was different timelines every time he traveled back and forth. So maybe his things didn't come through, or maybe didn't come true. But he kind of reminds me of Phil Hendry from 2036.
Really? Okay.
But, no, just your thoughts on John Tater.
Well, I'd love to interview him. Those are my thoughts. If he's out there, and if he crosses this timeline, tell him Art Bell's on Sirius XM wants to speak to him. Gosh, I wish I had a... people who are on the lines right now really want to get through, right? So I can't really... It wouldn't be fair to have them hang up and then say time travelers only. It just wouldn't be fair. What we need is that special line, and we will work on it. How about that? You're on the air. This is Dark Matter.
Art Bell, it's wonderful to speak with you.
Thank you.
Many, many Roswells, many Rendlesham Forests, even. Yeah, do you remember the magazine back in the 1980s called Omni Magazine?
Of course, yes.
Yes. I just want to tell you a little story about an article they had about how to control your dreams.
Okay.
And by the way, this is Wayne from Denver.
Yes, Wayne.
Nice talking with you. But this article focused on how to control your dreams, and it gave you a little step-by-step thing that you were supposed to do during the day to prove to yourself that you're awake, and then concentrate really hard when you go to sleep. And it worked, but not in the way I thought it was going to. I think I actually had an out-of-body experience. And I left it out of my body, and I floated out of my bedroom, down the hallway, and floated past my father. My feet were dragging on the ceiling the whole time, and I could remember feeling the bumps of the doorways that I was going through.
That's something.
And I floated past my father, who at that time was sitting in his chair, reading the newspaper. I floated past him, saw him, floated through the kitchen, the back rec room, and out the door, the back door. And as soon as I started to head towards the sky, I just got sucked right back into my body real quick. And I just opened my eyes. I was just like, wow, what was that? And I actually went out and looked, and my father was still sitting in that same position, reading his newspaper.
Now, that would freak me out. In other words, you had confirmation that everything was as you saw it in the so-called dream.
Yes, because it just completely freaked me out. And I immediately walked out there, and I told my father, and he didn't really, say he felt anything, but, yeah, it was great.
I'm sure you got a sure, son.
I got a what?
Sure, son. I understand.
Yeah, he thought I was a little wacky.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But the following month, I think it was 1 month later, they had another special feature in the Omni magazine of how to have an out-of-body experience, which I thought was kind of weird. I tried to control my dream and I had an out-of-body. And when I tried the out-of-body...
Really. You can do it. You can do it. As you not just found out, but as you found out, it is possible to leave your body.
Yeah, I believe it now. And it took probably maybe 4 or 5 different days of doing this religiously during the day. Read something, go back and read it again. If it reads the same thing, you prove to yourself that you're awake.
Let me ask you a question. Did it scare you?
It scared me when I went out the back door and headed towards the sky. Then I felt no control. I felt like I was just going to go wherever, and I had no control of it. And
I think that's what will snap you right back.
That's what did it, yes. As soon as I saw the sky.
That's right.
It was
any sort of fright will bring you right back. It's not as though you can stop it, and it's not as though you can prevent the fear. Only with extended practice, exactly what it was saying, doing it again and again and again and again, you can begin to get good, and you can leave your body. It's a real phenomenon. I have a complaint about dreams, and I wonder if any of you share it with me. And it is this. Most dreams are okay. I don't have a problem with them. The dreams that I do have a problem with are the ones where you have to work at something. Where you're striving and really trying to get something done, accomplished, whatever it is. and you wake up and you feel as though you have just worked a 16-hour day. I mean, it was serious, whatever it was serious work. And so you wake up without the feeling of being rested. You wake up tired, annoyed at having such a dream. That's the word I would use, annoyed. You're on Dark Matter. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Roswell here. Yeah, I was just asking about a former guest you used to have, and if you're going to still have him, Ed Dane.
Sure, I'd have Ed Dames back on.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And
Sure he is. And you know what? You have to imagine that what he talks about, this kill shot that he talks about, everybody's, he's such baloney because it's never happened. Well, you know what? Some things just don't come true, for example, in this lifetime. In other words, what he's seeing may yet come true. It's a central tenet when he remote views. He sees it again and again and again and again. We may not be here to say, oh, check it out. Ed's right. We're dead.
Yeah, once would be enough. Yeah, I just want to say welcome back to the air, and now it's sleepless nights again.
Thank you so very much.
All right. Good talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Take care. Sleepless nights. This is the time for things of this nature. Things that may have a bit of a bump in the night. And of course, this is the month for things that really go bump in the night. You are on the air. Hello.
How dare you?
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm just kidding, Art. How do you like
the really?
impression?
How do I like it? It was so good that you heard me begin to respond.
Hi, this is Lou. I'm from Buffalo. Driving across Ohio. I'm a truck driver. And I thought
Very funny, Lou.
Well, I thought I'd like to share something with the audience. I don't know if it's been in the news or anything, but I have a lot of family members, like 3 of them, that work for the IRS, and they were off all of last week, and I'm pretty sure they're still off this week, but I was having dinner with them over the weekend, and they got a call from their office, and apparently they're getting back pay for all the time that they're off.
But the government hasn't started back up again yet.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know whoever their boss is or whatever at the IRS called them and said, don't worry, you're getting paid for all the time you're sitting here doing nothing. So I thought that might be kind of interesting.
Well, it is interesting, and I'm going to have to verify that with somebody else, because what I heard was that while most of the government was shut down, the IRS would keep going as usual. So let's have a little more from people out there. How about the rest of you? Anybody know anybody working in the IRS? The firm word I had was that the IRS would continue as usual. It's see, didn't he? My. I'm Art Bell. It's open lines, baby. Unscreened, open lines. Whatever you've got, we're ready for it. However, please don't pretend to be JC. Get back to the phone lines. Back to the lines we go. You are on the air. This is Dark Matter. Hello.
Hi, this is Gary from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Hey there.
Hi, I was wanting to ask you, I know you're a real big ham operator. I'm a truck driver, and I noticed, like, when I'm driving down the road, if I got my CB radio on, that I can hear people I'll be in Ohio, I can hear people talking from California. And
right.
It was told to me that like a phenomenon called skip, and I was wondering if you could tell me exactly how that works.
I guess I could. Sure. I'll turn the radio back on and listen. We are in, we're in a period of time right now when we should have really good skip. Then you can shoot all the skip you want. Of course, it's not legal, but what this refers to is our ionosphere. Radio, when the conditions are right, it depends on the 11-year sun cycle. We should be having fantastic radio right now, but it's not as good as it could be and as we wish it would be. But 27 megahertz, which is where CB communications occur, when the sun is right, when it's angry enough and producing sunspots and we get flares and all the rest of it, well, that band begins to bounce instead of just going across terrain for, 20 miles at best. It suddenly begins to bounce off the ionosphere and back to Earth. So, if you were to draw a circle Earth and an ionosphere up above, and you were then to imagine your signal goes to the ionosphere and then bounces back to Earth, that's how it happens. And suddenly, you're hearing people from the other side of the country or the other side of the world. And again, it's tied into our 11-year or 22-year, depending on how you want to look at it, sun cycle. We've been all hoping the sun cycle would be a little better, a little angrier, a little better for what we call propagation. But so far, it's been kind of a dud. Now, there's a school of thought that says, look out. Because while it's been a dud so far, we are in the peak at the moment. And so the sun could suddenly let go, well, I don't want to say an Ed Bain style blast, but it could happen. This is Dark Matter, and you're on the air. Hi.
Yes, hey, Art. This is Jason in South Carolina.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, I just wanted to share a personal story of my cat that passed about 6 years ago, and it relates to the whole question of is there souls in animals and pets,
Sure.
like that.
Sure.
So it's just a tidbit, but it's entirely true, and just for people to digest and think about. But this cat was 20 years old. She was pure white, and I was with her when she was born, and of course there when she died. And she was deaf, completely deaf, couldn't hear anything. And it's just like with people, when a cat's deaf, they have the most unique meow that you can imagine. Well, she did this her whole life, and I would know it if I heard it today. It's something that you couldn't mistake for another cat or for really any other sound. But long story short, she was put to sleep just due to old age and things like that. And I came back to my home. She lived with my parents. I was 29 at the time, and we were, of course, sad. She was, very important to the family, but I was just sitting there on the couch with my mother. We were quiet after, just 2 hours after she had been put to sleep.
Right.
And we were just sitting there, and it's a small home, but we could look straight through the door into the kitchen, and we heard this sound. It was just like her meow. I mean, it's unmistakable. It couldn't have been a cat outside or any kind of machinery. I've never heard anything like it since then or before then, just as a random noise. And I heard it, and I just kind of stopped and thought to myself, and I just kind of turned and looked at her and said, that sounds like Vanilla. And she nodded and she said, yeah, I heard that too. And the state that we were in, we just kind of acknowledged it and then just went on. And I'm sure it was in my mind, and I know it was in her mind. So for me,
I'm with you all the way. I'm with you all the way, my friend. Listen, my Yeti is 22 now. And I don't see how anybody can deny it. Well, if you're not an animal person. And I know the Bible doesn't speak of this. But here's my opinion. If we have souls, and I lean toward yes, we do. And you're an animal person, and you look into the eyes of your cat or your dog, and you don't know there's soul in there, then there's something wrong with you. They have, if you really examine, if you live with animals, then you know. They virtually have all the aspects that we have. They have love. Oh, they have lots of love. They have anger, hatred. They have jealousy. They have on and on and on and on. This sense of possession. Everything you can imagine. No, they can't talk. But if you look into their eyes and you don't know that they have souls, then I don't know about you. That's my belief, for whatever it's worth. Somebody wrote, hey Art, how could you not have remembered your OBE? Well, sure I had an OBE. It was a very quick one, and it occurred in Paris, France. And my wife at the time and I had gone to Paris on vacation. And maybe that had something to do with it, but I was out of my body, boom, like that. I was in a place suddenly that was the most, well, there are not words to describe how joyful and amazing a place it was. And I guess I was so completely in shock that I popped right back into my body, and I immediately woke my wife up and said, oh, I was just out of my body. And I really was, but it was very quick, and I was so shocked that I'm sure that's what popped me right back in again. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hi.
Hello, this is Lloyd in Fountain Hills, Arizona.
Hello, Lloyd.
I'm going to give you a news story that is 3 years old, 2 years and 11 months.
Okay. So it's not exactly breaking news.
Well, yeah, but it's something you have never heard before. I mean, I've never heard it before on any program.
Okay.
Okay, so you're ready.
Yes.
Okay, remember when the Chinese submarine supposedly shot off a missile in Los Angeles? That was, well, I'll give it a date. It was November 10th, 2010.
Oh, now I do remember something about that. Yes, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so they said the missile misfired. All right, so I live in Fountain Hills, which I was looking straight north from my house. Los Angeles is on my left, and New Mexico and Texas is on my right. So anyway, I did not see the missile misfire. I heard about that on the radio later on. But when I looked off to the left, this is pre-dawn in Los Angeles and just about dawn in Fountain Hills where I'm at.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, off to my left is a bunch of balls. I know this sounds stupid, but yellow and green balls. It looked like energy to me. Bright and shiny and all that stuff anyway. And then I looked off to the right, and coming up from behind the trees, of course this is way beyond the trees, but coming up from behind the trees comes this, I don't know what you'd call it, a craft of some kind. And it's coming up very fast, and it's almost transparent, and it's coming up to the curvature of the earth, and then it starts following the curvature of the earth. Now this thing is huge, and I can't tell you how huge, except when airplanes go over here, they're going over at 32,000 feet, they look like little nothing, like little dots. Right. I'm sure hundreds of them could fit on this thing, without a doubt. So anyway, I could watch this thing from those trees. It went following the curvature of the earth, and it went beyond New Mexico, because I could see New Mexico, because I've seen missile misfirings from white sand, so I can see that far. At any rate, this thing went over. And I would imagine I saw it for possibly absolute tops 5 minutes as it went along the curvature of the earth. And at 5 minutes, it went, I'm going to say for numbers, 1,000 miles that I could see it. So anyway, it's going 12,000 miles an hour, something like that. Now that's the boring part of the thing. The thing is, where was it built? Why was it built? Did it come out of the ocean when they were giving us all this distractions with the missile misfiring and these green and yellow balls and all that? And where's it going? And where's it going to land if it does land somewhere? And that's the end of my story. And I was at 81 years old at that time. I'm not selling a book. All I gain out of this is ridicule from my friends when I told them, hey, okay. So that's probably what I'll get from you two.
No, I won't ridicule you.
Okay. But it's no news. You're not interested in it.
Well, of course I'm interested in it. I would have a few questions.
Okay, I'm listening.
Something as big as you said it was, traveling as fast as you said it was, should have been reported by a lot of people. Would you agree?
Exactly. That's why I never called it in that night. I thought, oh, yeah, everybody's got to see this. I've called Art Nuri hundreds of times, and I can't get through to him. It's always busy.
Art Nuri?
Huh?
Art Nuri?
No, George Nuri. I called Nuri.
George Nuri. I see.
I called him hundreds of times and it was always a line busy, and then I finally gave up.
I see.
Okay, and the other good questions. Who could have built this thing? And where would it have been built? And is that the only one that has been built? Well, anyway.
Yeah, I of course have no idea, no answer for all of that. No answer at all. The only thing I can think of is that a lot of people should have seen it. I mean, the size that you declared it to be as compared to aircraft. You're on the air. This is Dark Matter. Hello.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm okay, sir.
Hey, this is Brent. I want to talk about ISON meeting Planet X by the sun.
ISON meeting Planet X?
By the sun.
By the sun.
Yeah, I got about 30 pictures of Planet X. And Hoagland, remember he was saying about the ISON, that when you looked at one of the pictures, it looked like a honeycomb, and he thinks that there was, people coming out and flying something.
We're confusing some things. He had a picture of a comet.
Right, that's the comet ISON, right?
No, sir. That was not a picture of ISON. That was a picture that NASA that they took of a comet, but it was not ISON.
Well, anyway, I got about 30 pictures. I've been taking these pictures for the last 6 months of the sun. You put your sunglasses up to the lens of the camera, and you take the pictures, and you get to see Planet X right there by the sun, which is around 7 o'clock. And then
I've been really curious about this whole Planet X thing. I mean, if Planet X was the kind of thing that you could, well, you mentioned hold your sunglasses up to the camera and then take a picture and see it, a whole planet,
well, you don't see the whole planet. You just see, it's like a light. I mean, it's really small, but when you take the picture, you can see that. Now then a few months later, which about 2 or 3 months ago, I forget the guy's name, but he said if you take the picture and get there's a dormant sun with it. And so I was thumbing through my pictures that I got, and I could understand where he was talking about the dormant sun because I have about 6 of them, and it's up there. All you got to do, and if you want to Google it, go Google and punch in Planet X. They'll tell you all about that.
I know, and I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I've been hearing about Planet X since I could read. And that would be a while. People believing that there is a Planet X. And people like this last gentleman who think that Planet X is just basically sitting there in full view. I'm sorry, sir, I just buy it. I just don't buy it. Now, could there be a Planet X that would be a rogue planet and would enter our system and cause havoc? Yes, that's certainly a possibility. Astronomically, it's a possibility. But is there a Planet X just hanging out there in our system right now? No. No, I don't think so. I just don't think so. You're on Dark Matter. Hello.
Hi, Art Bell. How are you?
Just fine, sir.
It's an honor to talk to you and Mega Roswell to you. This is John in ADMX8 in Athens.
All right.
Just wanted to wish you the best of luck on your new show.
Well, thank you.
And you've done a great job so far. It's awesome.
Well, thank you.
All right, sir. You guys have a great night. Tell that guy from the CB band he needs to get into the ham radio and get on the head.
Well, a lot of hams are somewhat. They tend to get somewhat upset with CBers. I'm not one of them. I really don't care how you get into radio. If your path is through the CB band, that's fine. And as a matter of fact, CB is actually fine. So I'm not one of those hams. I don't get my nose out of place with CBers at all. In fact, when I'm on the road, I will use CB because CB will tell you what's going on, where the trouble is, where the traffic jam is, roads to take to get around it. It has a very serious use. Anyway, it's a great way for people to get into radio and then eventually into real radio, which is ham radio. So I'm kind of a fan of it, frankly. Whatever stepping stone. You're on the air. This is Dark Matter. Hi.
Art, how you doing?
Very well, sir.
I go by the nickname Florida Jim,
and I'm
Florida
calling.
General.
Yeah, I'm calling about John Teeter.
Okay.
I had the privilege to interact with him back on your old Post to Post AM forum back in 2001.
You mean Coast to Coast?
Well, yeah, you guys had a forum up with the Post to Post name.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Keith Wren. And he struck me as an anti-government kind of guy, but he made an interesting offer. He said, listen, I'm going back to 1998. If you want to email yourself, 3 years in the past, send it to me. I was like, yeah, it's an interesting idea. So I did that. Ever since then, I keep experiencing timeline changes that nobody around me has any awareness of.
All right, now we're off to the races here. When you say timeline changes, explain it to me.
Okay. I'm driving down the road, and on what I knew was an empty lot the day before is a brand new, functioning, fully stocked Walgreens grocery store, or pharmacy.
Wow.
Then I'm driving down another road. I had this extreme deja vu feeling. Couldn't understand what it was. It wasn't like I had been there. It was more like something's out of place. A few hours later, I drive back up the same road. Another empty lot had turned into a furniture store. And all of these odd little things kept happening. At first, I didn't want to say anything about it. But I was a little scared I was going to wake up and my wife and son were not going to be around. Nobody was going to remember them and all this kind of stuff.
I hear you.
So I got in touch with some of the other people who had been on the forum talking to Teeter, and they were having similar experiences. I even had a common one with a woman named Pamela who kind of collected the emails for John. And it's just bizarre. Now, for me, it's continued. I had this happen again in September, and just minor, feeling of like alter deja vu. I actually call it an alter vu because it's not, things changed. And,
has it ever extended? You mentioned buildings and structures and so forth, and that's freaky enough. Has it ever extended to people?
Absolutely, and that is one of the freakiest things that's happened. I've had situations where people, famous people, obviously, Arthur C. Clarke, Nelson Mandela, Stephen Hawking, these people had died in my past. Then I discovered that they were alive again. And, but the most interesting for me, I'm very much into music. I'm a musician and all. A man named Chris Cornell, lead singer of a couple of bands, Soundgarden, Audioslave. In my original timeline, he died in 1999 of a drug overdose. Then I had a alter vu, a timeline change, a time quake, whatever you want to call it, in 2007. And as soon as that happened, he was back alive. And there were 8 years of music I had never heard from this man.
That's incredible.
I was just stunned. And so today I still ask, I unfortunately don't think Peter's ever going to get back here because he went off mission. I don't think they're going to let him fly that thing anymore. He wasn't supposed to travel to 1998, 2000, 2001 and all that. But, yeah, strange phenomenon. If anybody's got any answers, I'd be happy to give out an email telling me why the hell this is still happening.
I understand. It's extremely worrisome. Thank you very much. He mentioned the name, of course, of Nelson Mandela. And I think that the whole world had one about Nelson Mandela. I brought this up on the previous program. I was convinced that the press had reported Nelson Mandela as dead. And this was years and years ago. I recall being on the air one night and saying, or referencing the fact that Nelson Mandela had died. And I firmly believed that. And I firmly believed that I had heard that on the national news. And that was an accepted fact in my mind. And lo and behold, that Nelson Mandela was very, very much alive. So I think there can be mass shifts of time. because I wasn't the only one. We had so many calls saying, yes, sir. I, too, heard the same thing. From the high desert and the great American Southwest, this is Dark Matter. I'll tell you what we'll do. So I'm going to tell you ahead of time. Our next break will be, I don't know, like around 9:45 or 45. I so many time zones here. 45 minutes past the hour. So what I'm going to do when we get to that break is I'm going to clear the lines for only time travelers. Let's start with time travelers, all right? And Antichrist folks would be all right too. Vampires and zombies can't put them in. All right, we'll do that in the next break. That way, everybody will have an opportunity to get through between now and then. And you'll know that as of the next break, you should all hang up, and we'll just hang in there for time travelers and the rest of that jolly little group and see what we can get. In view of the fact that we don't have a special line, that's about all I can do. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art Bell. I got a question for you. Remember earlier this year when a lot of strange phenomena, strange noises from the sky were reported, and it was all over the internet. I've seen it, and I've heard it.
Oh, you're kind of breaking up on me a little bit. Earlier in the year, a strange phenomena all over the internet, something.
Strange noises from the sky, Art. You remember hearing about that?
I do, yes.
What is your opinion on that?
I have none particularly about the source of them. We hear strange noises here all the time, big booms, and we sort of know what they are. They're dropping bombs over at Fort Irwin. And when I say big booms, I mean gigantic booms. So we're kind of used to hearing strange noises, but I know what you're referring to on the internet, and no, I have no idea. Guess he's gone. That's sad. Well, that's the cellular world that we live in now. Now you know why we require that our guests have a ported phone. Sorry about that, sir. The gods were not smiling on you. Dark Matter, and you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, this is Joey from Alabama.
Hi, Joey.
Hey, is this Art Bell?
I'm the only one here.
Okay, hey, I wanted to thank you. I'm a new listener, and it's awesome getting to hear you every night. So I wanted to ask a question, and I also wanted to make a comment. I remember somebody calling a little earlier about dreams and being able to control their dreams. And I don't really believe that you can control your dreams. I think there's something greater than myself when it comes to dreams. And I wanted to say that it's kind of hard for me to say this on the air, but I'm a recovering alcoholic. And for the past 15 years, whenever I would dream about drinking, whenever alcohol would be in my dreams, I would either be chasing the drink, I would be drinking the drink, or I'd be running from something bad that happened from drinking. And that would be a constant thing that would happen to me. And anyway, I'm kind of a new person in recovery, and something amazing happened to me last week. I had a dream, and my friends were all drinking and having a good time, and it was for the first time in my life. In my dream, it did not faze me. I didn't want it. It was nonchalant to me in my dream. And I woke up, just amazed that hadn't occurred. And I guess I guess it's like a testimony, I guess, that I think only good and evil control your dreams, and I believe something good is working in my life.
Well, maybe, sir, your dream was an actual breakpoint for you. In other words, if you had that dream and alcohol was involved and you were not drawn to it as you always have been in the past, that could be a true turning point, I would think, in your life. And it could be, I don't want to diminish, the the dream in any way, but it could be a wonderful sign for you that you have mentally turned the corner. I don't know. That's just a wag, which some people refer to as a wild ass guess. Hello there on Dark Matter. You have achieved the air.
Hey, how you doing, Art?
Very well, sir. Thank you.
I'm a driver driving through Nebraska, and I want to say welcome to Sirius Radio. It's about time. It's been a long time.
Great to be here.
I got a story. Back in 2001, I used to deliver to stores at night, and we had a key to all the stores. And I pulled around to a loading dock in the back of the store, and I got out of the truck and I walked around to the front of the store. And the front of the store was open. The door was wide open. I guess the manager had gone home for the night and forgot to lock the door. And we were instructed, to call the police because it happened now and again. And I went into the front of the store, and I went to the front desk, and I went to pick up the phone. Picked up the phone, and there was no dial tone at all. Nothing. And I knew there was another phone back in the loading dock, so I walked into the back loading dock, picked up that phone. That phone was completely dead. I'm thinking, what the heck's going on? So I came back up to the front of the store, and of course, it was one of those nights when you're scaring the crap out of all of us. And I went to the front desk again, and I picked the phone back up, and every line was busy. They had, I guess, 10 lines on that thing. Every line was lit up. Every line was busy. And I said, well, I've had enough. I went outside and got my cell phone and called in. But anyway, welcome back. Good to hear from you.
Well, thank you very much. Good to hear from you, and take care. Yeah, that's weird. Life is full of weird things that occur, and there simply is no explanation for. I know many of you, if not most of you, have had them occur to you. So I guess that's what makes programs like this, the fact that these things do occur. And there is no explanation, no logical explanation for them at all. Unlike most things that happen in life, every now and then one of these rolls into your life, and when it does, it stops you cold. This is Dark Matter, and you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, it's Roswell.
Thank you.
Yes, I was wondering if you could ever consider having Jim Mars or Eric Von Däniken on your show one day.
Jim Mars, he is still with us, right?
I believe so. I'm not sure. I just got finished reading one of his books a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if he's still around, but I would think so.
Okay. Certainly, I've had Jim Mars on in the past. I don't know what his current status is, so all good suggestions.
Yes. Also, I'm just like an average guy. I've never experienced anything extraterrestrial, but my mind is open to it, and I would like for something like that to happen. Does that happen to like people like random people, or is it just like have to be somewhere at the right place at the right time?
Boy, I really hate to level an I don't know at you, but I don't know. I've had a few things in my life that have happened, not too many, really weird things, but I was unable to make them repeat. I was unable to control them when they occurred, or anything. So they just happened. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't have to be something extraterrestrial. It can be something. And I don't really want to go back and tell old stories, but I had a case of precognition that was a question. There was no question. Well, I will tell it. Otherwise, it sounds like baloney, to a new listener. I was living in Santa Barbara, California. Here it comes, very quickly. Living in Santa Barbara, in a very nice apartment. And I had my car parked out in the street. I came home from work, sat on the couch, and was ready to watch, I believe, NBC News, or the nightly news at that time, whatever it was. And I began watching. Curtains were closed. Couldn't see my car, but at the beginning of the newscast, as I was sitting down to watch it, I had this overwhelming, gigantic feeling that somebody's going to hit my car. it came to me almost like a giant crashing ocean wave. Somebody's going to hit your car. I said some bad words and got up and walked across, opened the curtain, peeked out, looked at my car. It was fine. Sat back down to watch the news. Here it came again. Just like crashing ocean waves, somebody's going to hit your car. It was overwhelming. I couldn't ignore it. It was annoying. So I finally got back up again, went over, opened the curtains. There was a guy walking down there was a little pathway. You know, we parked actually on the road there. And there was a little concrete pathway going toward the road. And here's a guy walking down a pathway. So I just stood there. As the news was beginning, I watched this guy walk down the path, got into the car in front of mine, started the engine, put it in reverse, hit my car. I fell to my knees, literally, honestly, fell to my knees. I was so shocked. I had shivers going up my spine. I was on my knees. But alert enough, I finally got up, opened the sliding glass door and said, I saw that. He said, I'm stopping. And there was no big damage. I did a little dent. But, boy, was I freaked out. Now, that's a case of precognition. I had no way of understanding why it came. I didn't make it come. I couldn't make it go away. I couldn't make it happen again. It just happened. That's about the best I can do. That was my big precognitive experience. I don't know whether you've ever had one, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello. This is Ben. I'm a truck driver.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, I'd like to tell you about my experiences.
Please do.
Well, I grew up in kind of a haunted house, you could say. It all started with things in my closet. I could hear something in my closet every night, and I know you said something about your closet, and I always kept my closet door open.
Why? I mean, whatever's in your closet, if there's something in there, keeping the closet door open is just an invitation for it to come and get you.
Well, it never would do. I never would hear anything in the closet if I had the closet door open. But every time I closed that closet door, I would hear something in there.
Oh.
And I could hear footsteps walking down the hall, and I'd open up the door, and there wouldn't be anybody there. And my little sister said people were talking to her, like in a room, and nobody was there, just saying her name.
Right.
And it got I was actually physically assaulted one time.
Really?
I was in my room, and I stood up, and my head was slammed against my desk like 5 or 6 times, just over and over. And I kept saying, "What is going on?" And stop. And next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor on my back, like it threw me on my back.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions for you. I mean, that's horrible. But did you? If you're going to be manipulated in that way, you're going to have to feel a lot of force against your body. Was it like arms that were grabbing your body? Was it some sort of invisible force that was around you? In other words, physically, what did you feel?
I didn't. That's a very strange thing. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any pressure against my head or just anywhere. I didn't feel anything. I thought I was doing it to myself, but I'm very consciously saying, "What are you doing? Stop this!" And next thing you know, I'm just thrown to the floor on my back and just in a daze. And
so then you would have to say an invisible force.
Yeah, I mean, we had this ghost there, and everybody knew it. The neighbors, it was on a hill. All the neighbors told us when we moved in that the hill was haunted. People could see a woman standing in the window when no one was even there. My brother said he heard the shower running upstairs one time. He went up and he said, "Mom," because she wasn't there. And he heard a very strange voice say, "Yes, honey." And he freaked out, knew it wasn't Mom, ran outside, ran up the driveway, and like a few minutes later, my mom had was pulling in the driveway. And, I would like wake up in the middle of the night
and every drawer and door in my bathroom would just be opening and slamming shut just violently.
Oh, brother. Oh, that'd be enough for me.
Yeah. We finally moved out of that place, but
finally moved out. Okay. Did you warn the people that were moving in?
no, they actually have it on the market right now, and so I don't even live there anymore in that town, but it was definitely a creepy place.
I appreciate the call, sir. How about the rest of you? Would you warn if you were moving out of a haunted house? There are actually laws now, that require you. They do to notify somebody if a house is haunted. However, in real life, I would have to say to warn the person who would be buying the house that you've been trying to sell for some time, like this, would probably not be something you would do. So what would you do? Answer, keep your mouth shut. If you wanted to sell your house, you'd keep your mouth shut. And this is how haunted houses are sold. Dark Matter, you are, wait a minute here, now you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, Art. This is William from Texas. First of all, are you still taking normal open calls, or is this time traveler time?
I am until the break. And the break is coming up pretty soon, and then I'm not going to take normal calls. I'm going to take time traveler calls for a full break.
Okay, good. I've been away from my radio for a few minutes, didn't want to miss it. First of all, infinity to the power of infinity Roswell's to you. I've been listening for over 19 years, never called in until now. But I have a few thoughts regarding the Matthew Offer guest you had on your show a couple weeks ago. Something you said during that show, it sparked a few ideas that I had that might explain something.
Sure.
So first of all, I hope to kind of explain a possible explanation of the near-death experience and the viewing of different deities during that experience. Not necessarily being a proof against God, as Matthew alluded to. So first of all, let's assume Matthew has some level of correctness. I'm kind of going fast through this because I know time's of the essence. So with the idea that there is a God part of the brain, let's assume he's correct with that. Yearning to seek out a higher being that created you. So first of all, I'm not trying to explain the infiniteness of God by comparing him to a mere human being's logic, but this flow kind of helps me explain it and understand it with my feeble mind, actually what might be happening. So let's go with what I've read and heard others say many different times over the years, that they're where they compare God to being like a computer programmer. Of course, many infinitely times more intelligent and powerful, but essentially you've got source code, and that would be DNA. Could it be explained by DNA? And of course, all programmers start with source code, they compile it, they have a final product that comes out. The program, if you will, the end result. In this case, it would be a human being based on God's source code. So next, let's consider some recent scientific results that kind of compare the universe as if it was a simulation in like the Matrix or a simulation inside a computer. So again, back to thinking of this like a computer programmer. By the way, I can send you a lot of research on that. But now, if you think of God as a programmer, DNA being the source code, the compiled version being a human being, you could think of God giving you a brain, a device. Okay, and this device, this brain, allows you to think and so on and so forth, might very well also have a phone back home to your creator section. Of course, why not? Any good computer programmer or human engineer might build into any device he might make ways to communicate with it. The device might phone back home to home base, so to speak. Telecommunications equipment, etc. So again, I'm not trying to equate God's infinite power to a mere mortal human engineer, but in this example, I'm kind of running through this where, for instance, prayer, meditation, that's where you come in, or you kind of made me think of this when you said the electromagnetic stimulation of the brain. You could kind of consider that as hacking the communication section of your brain, your device. Perhaps like any hacker would hack an electronic device. And that would activate the typical near-death experience, the tunnel, the light, and so on and so forth. Seeing the deity that you're individually familiar with, and that you've studied and learned about it and accepted all of your life. So, of course, the near-death experience occurs, real situations, an accident, you're very sick, so on and so forth. You've hacked the communication area of your brain with electromagnetic stimulation in the labs, for instance. It may not be your time, you come back, and so on and so forth. Now, the last part, back to the programmer analogy, if indeed this all happens to be true in some way, shape, or form, there's a dedicated part of the brain that it comes to fill in with a God concept. That's where the part where you consider it being filled in with a variable. Again, back to computer analogy, in a website, or you're filling in your first name or your last name. That little first name spot would be, in your case, Art. In my case, it would be William, and so on and so forth. So it's a conceptual variable. So you're activating that part of your brain. It's conceptual. You're seeing the visual deity that you're familiar with. It's filled with your particular deity that you've accepted. And that's what you're seeing, potentially. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there as a possible thought. And so essentially that would prevent shock. You know, seeing something unfamiliar would be bad. And that all could be very well just part of the programming God gave you in your device when you're phoning home.
Okay. I appreciate it. So God as a master programmer, why not? The possibility that we're living in some sort of created universe, that we're living in a kind of a matrix. Science is looking at this genuinely hard right now. Did you know that? It's something we could have a lot of discussion about, because I don't rule it out. Do you? That we're all kind of walking around in a programmed world, that we're not seeing it all as it actually is, very much like the movie The Matrix. Science is trying to figure out, and I guess they have come up with a way to test whether in fact we're living in such a world. I don't reject the idea. Hard science doesn't reject the idea. Well, it does. But it's definitely intriguing. And as this caller said, perhaps we do have that urge that was programmed into us by our Creator. Definitely. But all right, listen, here's...
All right, with that, we're going to leave Art for tonight. I do apologize for keeping you late, but I just wanted to finish that call. As always, please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another, and release the Krakens as we march along this overnight and every overnight from day one. When we come back tomorrow night, time travelers.